Hello and welcome to lesson 7 on brain development. And more specifically, we are going to be looking at Carol Dweck's work on her mindset theory of learning. And the unit of work that we're going to be looking at today is what are the effects of learning on development? So what are the effects of learning on development? Now, what I'd like you to do is drag your attention, please, to show my homework. Maybe you were on show my homework before you got here, but if you were not, there is a document that sits alongside this YouTube clip, and it gives you a text version of all of this that I'm about to deliver. What I'd like you to do on that with that particular text is I'd like you to make notes. I'd like you to use this YouTube clip as well to make your own notes, make key notes based upon this clip and the sheet, and also any key terms as well, if you could make a record of those. Take a picture of what you've produced and ping me the email. Email me over, please. So in Dweck's mindset theory of learning, she identifies that there are two types of learners, and it really is the responsibility of the educator or the teacher to ensure that we only have one type of learner. You see, Carol Dweck identified that there is something called a fixed mindset. These people would harbour the view that they are born with a fixed set of level of intelligence, and they can't really do much about it to change things. Students believe that their intelligence is therefore unchanging. Their IQ is what it is, and perhaps is down to genetics, and there is nothing that they can do. So subsequently, such students, when challenged by a particularly difficult activity, would give up relatively easily because they just feel like I'm just not good enough. Now, the second type of learner is the learner that all educators want their students to aspire to be, and that is called to have a growth mindset. And this is one where students believe that their intelligence comes from hard work, and hard work can actually elevate their level of IQ and subsequent intelligence. So that actually there is a point to an increased level of work, because it will ultimately lead to an increased level of intelligence. Such students believe that actually it is shifted due to nurture, environment, and upbringing, whereas the fixed, it's very much kind of nature. This is me, I'm not capable of any more. I wonder which one you are. Have a think about which one. Do you give up relatively easy, or are you someone who is actually, you find a challenge quite an appealing idea? So how can we, if you do have a fixed mindset, if you do believe that you do at least, how can we change your mindsets? Well, psychologists have shown that mindsets can indeed, you'll be pleased to hear, can be changed through training. In one study, for example, students were taught about what happens in their brain each time they learn something new and difficult. The students were taught, this lesson showed, the students who were taught this lesson showed a major improvement in their exam results compared to the control group of those students who did not receive that training. And in addition to that, there's a role of praise that is hugely instrumental from shifting a fixed to a growth mindset. If, for example, the educator is very much perhaps going to subscribe always to person praise, for example, you are great, well done you. These are kind of superficial praise, really, in want of a better word, because what it is not doing, it's not identifying the qualities which enabled it to be a good response, and therefore you are not providing your students with the equipment to be better learners. Whereas process praise, which is the one that educators should use, is about identifying the process. Do you know why you did well there? It was because you put loads of effort and hard work into that, or you developed a good method and technique due to hard work. and that this will enable students to develop, to become more successful lifelong learners, because they have identified the very mechanics of what makes them successful learners, whereas it received the flippant and kind of the superficial, well done you, that was great. And it gives you that warm buzz, that initial sugar rush, but it doesn't really amount to much else or anything sustainable. Now, Dweck's theory has obviously been evaluated, and what we have found from looking at Dweck's theory is it helps us understand how students can increase their exam grade. So it gives us a process. It also, secondly, it informs teachers that mindsets can be changed and explain how they can change them. And thirdly, there are studies to support Dweck's theory, which suggests her findings are accurate. So she has actual evidence from classes that were actually, as I say, they were given this training and they subsequently went on to do better. The last thing I'd like to touch upon is something called the self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is simply giving somebody the belief that they can do it. They can actually make progress and they can actually do it. But that can't just come from anybody. It comes from the various places. It comes from being successful at something. So, for example, if a student was to perhaps to be successful in a particular exam, that would actually give them perhaps the confidence to be better in the subsequent studies of that subject. And success, if you will, would therefore breed success. So it's about changing a mindset to a particular subject, but that what unlocks the door is success for that subject. The other thing that can quality that can really help with self-efficacy or installing belief in students is observing if they observe other people succeed at something due to their effort, then they will unpick, they will see that skill, and they will therefore hopefully use that same skill to help them become successful at it. Also, if they are being persuaded by somebody that is like a role model or a teacher or somebody they respect, if they're being persuaded to do it and coerced in the loveliest possible way, then they would perhaps jump on board with the task, and ultimately that would breed success. And finally, by being guided through the task. So educators can play a massive role in ensuring that students develop a growth mindset by essentially just giving the learner the confidence that they can actually do it.